All right, let's dive into a seriously delicious topic today. We're tackling gluten-free brining, specifically a recipe for a show-stopping turkey.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
It is, trust me. We're going to be looking at a couple sources. We've got excerpts from Eat at Our Tables blog. They have this great post called Easy Gluten-Free Brined Turkey Recipe. And then we also have this document. It's simply titled About Gluten-Free Turkey Recipes.txt.
No, wait, so brining, is that really necessary? I've never really understood the point.
Yeah, that's what we're going to unpack. Stick with us because we're going to uncover the science behind it, and then we'll break down this specific recipe so you can try it at home.
Okay, I'm listening. Convince me.
We'll equip you with all the tips and tricks to make your gluten-free feast a smashing success.
All right, you've got my attention.
So what's fascinating is that brining isn't just some random culinary thing. There's actual science behind why it results in such a juicy and flavorful bird.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack this. Why does brining work? What's the secret sauce, so to speak? Like, what's actually happening to the meat?
Exactly. And the secret lies in the salt.
Uh,
It's the salt's ability to break down those muscle fibers. So essentially, it's pre-tenderizing the turkey from the inside out.
oh, so it's like a built-in moisture lock.
It is. That's a great way to think about it. It allows the meat to retain more moisture during cooking,
Yeah.
and that results in a final product that's, unbelievably juicy and tender.
Well, that makes so much sense. So it's not just about like adding extra flavor, it's really transforming the actual texture of the meat. That's pretty cool.
It is. And the blog post did mention that, brining might lead to less dripping for gravy, but honestly, the flavor payoff, I think, seems worth the trade-off.
Yeah, absolutely. I would much rather have a juicy turkey than extra gravy.
Right. And especially, we are talking about gluten-free cooking here. So before we get to the recipe itself, are there any red flags we should be aware of, especially when we're thinking about, gluten-free?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always have to be super careful with gluten-free cooking. When you're dealing with dietary restrictions like that, I always say label reading becomes your superpower.
Yes.
Always. And I mean always. Scrutinize those ingredient lists.
Yeah.
Even seemingly innocent things like poultry seasoning can contain hidden gluten.
You're so right. You can never be too careful.
Never.
And speaking of ingredients, let's talk about what goes into this magical brine.
Okay, let's hear it.
It seems surprisingly straightforward.
Really? What is it? Just like salt and water? Or,
Well, it is a simple blend of water,
okay,
orange juice, and get this, a whole bottle of Pinot
a
Noir.
whole bottle.
A whole bottle. And then kosher salt, brown sugar, peppercorns, bay leaves, and thyme. Probably have most of these in your pantry already.
Yeah, those are all pretty basic things. I love that it uses common ingredients. No need for some elaborate grocery store run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, to contain all this goodness, we're going to need a pretty sizable pot, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. How big are we talking?
Yeah, a large stock pot is essential. The blog author actually recommends a 15 to 20 quart pot. We'll include a visual in the show notes so you can actually get a sense of the size.
Okay, that's helpful. So big pot, check.
Mhm.
We got our ingredients, our trusty stock pot.
Hmm.
What's next? What do we do?
It's time to mix it all up. Combine all those brine ingredients in the pot, make sure you stir it well, and really dissolve that salt and sugar completely. We don't want any grainy bits in our brine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Smooth and flavorful. I like it. So our brine is ready. The turkey's prepped. It's showtime. What happens next?
Now we gently introduce the turkey to its flavorful bath.
Okay,
Submerge it completely in the brine,
got it.
making sure every nook and cranny gets a good soak.
Love that visual.
And then you cover the pot tightly,
Mhm.
let it chill out in the refrigerator for 10 to 12 hours. Usually overnight's ideal.
Oh, okay. So you kind of just like set it and forget it. A nice relaxing spa day for the turkey.
That's one way to think about it. And the blog post mentioned turning the turkey a couple of times during the brining process. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Well, think about it. We want to make sure every part of that turkey gets equal love from that brine.
Right.
Turning it just ensures that even distribution of flavor and tenderness.
Makes sense. It's all about maximizing that juicy goodness. So our turkey's happily brining away in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
What's next? What happens when the brining time is up?
It's time for the post-brine prep. This is where we move from the refrigerator to the roasting pan.
Okay.
And we'll walk you through all those steps in detail, but first, a little word of caution from both sources. Never, and I mean never, double brine a pre-brined turkey.
Oh, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. What's the reasoning behind that warning?
Well, think about it. Double brining can lead to an extreme salt overload,
Oh, that's true.
which counterintuitively can actually make your turkey dry.
What? Really?
Yeah, remember, salt attracts water. So too much salt will actually draw the moisture out of the meat instead of locking it in.
Wow. I never would have thought of that. Too much of a good thing can definitely backfire in the kitchen.
It's true.
It's amazing how much science goes into something as seemingly simple as like brining a turkey. I'm learning so much. All right, so we've covered the brining basics, some
Yes?
important warnings. Are we ready to move on to the roasting stage?
We are. Let's dive into those post-brine steps and get this turkey ready for the oven. But first, I'm curious. Have you ever brined a turkey before?
I haven't, but I'm feeling pretty confident after this. I'm actually really excited to try it. It seems like brining can really elevate the flavor and the texture of the turkey. What about you? Have you experimented with brining?
I have, and the results are consistently impressive.
Mm.
It's really one of those techniques that elevates your cooking game without requiring a ton of extra effort. Now let's get back to that post-brine prep.
All right, so after your turkey has enjoyed its luxurious brine bath,
Yeah.
it's time for a little drying off. So pat it down with paper towels. You want to remove any excess moisture from the surface.
Got it. Dry turkey. Ready for the next step? What's next?
Now, preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's heating up, let's talk flavor. Drizzle your turkey with olive oil and then just coat it generously with poultry seasoning. The recipe actually recommends 3 to 4 tablespoons, but you can always taste as you go. You can always add more, but you can't take it away.
Right. I'm a firm believer in the taste-as-you-go philosophy. It's saved me from many a culinary disaster. Okay, my oven's preheating. The turkey's coated in poultry seasoning. Are we ready for the grand finale?
Almost. Place your turkey on a roasting rack in a roasting pan. This is key, okay? This is key for even cooking and avoiding, that dreaded soggy bottom.
Soggy bottom. No, thank you. We want a perfectly crispy golden brown turkey. So the turkey is nestled in its roasting pan. How long does it need to roast?
The general rule of thumb is about 20 minutes per pound. But the best way to really make sure your turkey is cooked perfectly is to use a meat thermometer.
Ah, yes, the trusty meat thermometer. Where should I insert it for the most accurate reading?
You'll want to insert it into the thickest part of the thigh. Just make sure to avoid touching the bone.
Okay, thermometer in the thigh, checking for doneness. What temperature am I aiming for?
You want that turkey to reach an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the magic number for a safe and delicious bird.
Got it.
Now, here's a pro tip, okay, from the blog. For the first half of the cooking time, roast the turkey uncovered.
Okay.
This allows the skin to crisp up beautifully.
I'm already imagining that crispy golden skin. It's one of the best parts of a roasted turkey. What about the second half of the roasting time? Do we keep it uncovered?
Once the turkey starts to brown nicely, you'll want to cover the breast loosely with aluminum foil. This is just to prevent it from, over browning or burning.
Right.
It's all about protecting that precious turkey.
Smart move. Protecting the turkey is top priority. The blog author also mentioned that, she usually doesn't start seeing a lot of drippings until after the turkey is covered.
Ah, yes, the drippings. Liquid gold. Be sure to save those for a delicious gravy or stock.
Absolutely. Homemade gravy is a must-have for any Thanksgiving feast. Okay, my turkey's been roasting away, the timer's going off, the aroma is incredible, and the meat thermometer confirms that it's reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Is it finally time to carve this beautiful bird?
Not so fast. Before you carve, let that turkey rest outside the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. This allows the juices to redistribute throughout the meat, and it'll result in a more tender and flavorful turkey.
Oh, right. The resting period. It's so tempting to dive in right away, but I know patience is key when it comes to roasting a turkey. A little rest makes all the difference.
Exactly. It's all about maximizing those flavors and textures. After all that brining, roasting, resting, you're finally ready to carve and enjoy your delicious gluten-free turkey.
This has been such an insightful journey. We've explored the science behind brining, dissected the recipe step by step, and even uncovered some potential pitfalls to avoid. I feel like I've earned an honorary culinary degree.
You have. And remember, the journey doesn't end with the recipe. Experiment with different flavor combinations in your brine. Play around with herbs and spices. Find what excites your palate.
I love that. Cooking should be an adventure. It's not just about following recipes, It's about exploring flavors and techniques and traditions. Speaking of exploring, before we wrap up, I have one final thought-provoking question for our listener. We've talked about how brining makes the turkey, more tender and juicy, but what about the flavor itself? Does brining actually change the taste of the turkey, or is it more about enhancing the natural flavors?
That's a great question, and one that's sparked many debates among home cooks and professional chefs alike.
Really?
Oh yeah. Some people argue that brining, imparts a subtle salty flavor, while others maintain that it's really more about just unlocking the turkey's inherent savory notes.
Huh. It's like a culinary mystery.
Hmm.
I guess the best way to settle the debate is to conduct a taste test.
Exactly, put it to the test. I'm definitely curious to try a brined turkey myself and see how it compares to just a traditionally roasted one.
Me too?
And who knows, maybe you'll discover your new favorite cooking method.
Ooh, I like that.
But what I find most intriguing is that brining really encourages experimentation.
Oh, how so?
Well, you can customize the brine with different herbs and spices, even fruit juices to create really unique flavor profiles.
That's what I love about cooking. There's always room for creativity and personalization. It's not just about, following a recipe. It's about really exploring those flavors, making a dish your own.
Exactly.
So even if you decide brining isn't really your thing,
Yeah.
the knowledge you've gained from this deep dive is valuable, right? You understand the science behind it,
Right.
the potential benefits, drawbacks, and maybe you've even been inspired to try a new gluten-free recipe or two.
Maybe even a whole new gluten-free Thanksgiving menu.
Exactly. This has been such a fantastic journey through the world of gluten-free brined turkey.
It really has.
We've covered it all, the science, the practical tips, and even sparked some, culinary curiosity.
Definitely.
I feel like I'm ready to host my own gluten-free Thanksgiving feast.
And to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring, experimenting, and of course, eating delicious food. Whether you decide to brine your next turkey or stick with your tried and true methods, we hope you approach your culinary adventures with confidence and a sense of joy.
Beautifully said. And remember, if you have any questions, thoughts, or maybe some triumphant brining tales to share,
Yeah.
you can always find us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, happy cooking.